Hi, this is Richard Oliver from The Light of September, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Well, hello there. My name is Cord. Welcome to, I think it's called Marku 42, or is it Mayuk? I don't know. But, we're here. We're going to talk about my friend Thor, because, he had a new movie out. It was really cool. I had a little part in it. Okay, all right, enough. This is actually me. Eduardo and Freyre. I was trying out my Korg impression. I think I was almost veering into Stewie from Family Guy, so sorry about that. I need to, but you know what? We tested it out. So I'll work on it. I think I got the cadence right though. With me is
Vicky Jakubowski.
So yeah, you think I got something going here? Think I should add it to the stable?
I think it needs a little bit of work, honey, but you're getting there.
Okay, I'm getting all right. And also joining us is
Zion Quiros, god of 8-track tapes, apparently.
I love it.
Well, with what we're talking about here, Zion, you may not want to say that too loud, or Christian Bale's going to come after you.
No. Look, me and Gorr are okay because he knows that I'm already dead inside. So.
Ow! Oh dear! Oh man! Okay, well somebody. All right. Well, we need to find the god or goddess of hugs.
Well, none of us are actually gods, so he's not really going to be worried about us. So.
I don't know, man. When you go when you're a villain bent on like killing pantheons, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
They might go through us to get to them.
Yeah, or at least just be like, go to us because it's like, well, since we're being godlike, it's like, okay, well, may as well stop it before it gets any worse.
Are you suggesting he might think that a podcast is akin to being a god?
You know what? He is. Look, he does come from like, another world. So you never know how they'll interpret things like that. Just got to be careful. I mean, especially if you go around bragging, how you're totally awesome on the internet. You may think of that as like calling for worshipers.
Yeah.
So just gotta be careful.
We're in trouble now.
Yep. But yeah, I'm sure you can all guess. Today we're going to be doing a review of Thor: Love and Thunder, the latest helping from the MCU. Which, by the way, congratulations to the Thor franchise because they are the first. This is the first superhero franchise in the MCU, not counting the Avengers because that's a team thing. This is the first solo superhero franchise to get 4 movies. So, congratulations, Congratulations, Thor. Thor is now also the god of having more movies in his particular branch of the franchise than anybody else. So,
question: with the first 2 movies, did you ever think that you'd be saying that?
You know what?
I love the first movie, but I'm also a Shakespearean nut. So for me, it was like perfect. Yeah. The second movie had a few glitches, but I knew it'd get there.
Yeah,
and no offense. Speaking for women everywhere, we'll follow Chris. It's okay.
No, I personally thought that like Thor was going to get an Incredible Hulk and be locked in just team up movies. But it's nice to see that like they've changed the franchise around to something that the overall general people like. Yeah, I liked the first Thor. I will not talk about the second Thor. That never existed to me.
The second, the second.
That's okay.
The second Thor. I don't hate it, but it does feel to me like when they did the second Thor, they were like, "Holy cow, Loki is really popular. Okay, so we're gonna throw a lot of stuff at Loki." Yeah, but what about this other villain? Okay, don't worry, we'll cover him. But hey, I want to do this to Loki. It's like, I kind of feel like at times Malekith is like, yo.
But it's Eccleston. Look, he's right there. Let him act.
Yeah, but there was like a lot of just, hey, hi, Hi, I'm like an old Doctor Who. Can I get some love too? Hi. Now let's do this really cool Loki scene. Okay, but we need to go back to Malachi. So Loki's gonna like have his room trashed because his mom's dead. It's like, okay, it's like, no, Malachi, just be really evil. It's like, oh, okay. Do I get any more character motivation? You want to return the world to darkness? Is that it? Do I have anything else? Yeah. So I mean, it had issues, but I like it. I still like it. But we're talking about Thor: Love and Thunder, which, by the way, made, when it was announced, and it was announced that Natalie Portman is coming back as Jane Foster. Everybody lost it, because not only was she going to be back as Jane Foster, but Jane was going to get the hammer.
Yeah.
And
that was so cool when I first saw that. I'm like, I'm there. I don't even need to know anything else. I'm there. I'm going to enjoy this. And if it's just, a tenth of how good I think it's going to be, I'm going to have a blast. And I did.
Yep. And they did pull the trigger, because in the comics, when Jane had her time as Thor, she was dealing with cancer. So they actually took that from the comics. They took the fact that she had cancer, that she, that using the power of Thor kind of held it at bay, but, she was, rapidly, if not killing herself, then kind of getting it a little too close for comfort, because of all the power she was using. They actually adapted that, which to me is like, whoa, okay, we went there. Huh.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting that like they went full 100% comic adaptation, essentially.
Yeah. Well, it does kind of beg the question, what if they didn't go with the cancer diagnosis? What would they go with? Like, what could you go with if you're not doing Jane Foster has cancer when she gets the hammer?
That's the thing. I don't really know. Like, I think it is the most maximized thing. But like, it's funny that like the way that she got the hammer was completely different from the comics. Like, if I remember, like this was like when I first got into like actual Marvel events. Like, this was when the Watcher got killed, and Fury said something to a Thor that also has something to do a Gorr, and it made him unworthy for the hammer. But Jane could pick up the hammer now. And so she became Thor. I'm like, oh, okay. But now it's that the broken hammer called to her. I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Which, and because it's like, you really can't get into, I know that, when Thor lost the hammer in the comics, it was because he had already fought Gorr the God Butcher. And what happened was when Fury, when he actually, Nick Fury ended up being the villain for the piece. And at one point in a battle, he told Thor, he said Gorr was right. And it somehow made Thor unworthy of the hammer, because Gorr said, no gods are worthy. And when Fury told Thor that, it somehow kind of screwed up his connection to the hammer, and then Jane was able to get a hold of it and pick it up and become the mighty Thor. Which, by the way, I love the fact that she's called the mighty Thor. That they didn't try to do it. They didn't try to be like, okay, she's She-Thor or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's one of the things that I feel like, and it's one thing that in general Marvel has been doing very well. They take things that have happened within the comic book series, and of course with some of these stories they go back decades, and there's lots of different ways you could go with it. So they find a way to get the comic book fans, the new fans, the people who've only watched the movies, people who've never seen a comic book movie, and try to create, and this is where they get right most of the time, create something that all of us can enjoy.
Yeah.
So, and by going with the term, it's like, okay, well, let's do it this way. We're going to take this from the comic book. We're going to make this little tweak and we're going to do this. And now it's going to flow. And you kind of can, I have to say, the whole montage of their relationship ending, despite the fact that it was a comic book movie, despite the fact that you're talking about Thor God, it was like, who couldn't watch that and go, been there. And so it flowed and it made sense why she came back. They did a really good job of bringing her back in such a way that you could go, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
And enjoy it at the same time and cry and laugh and all the other fun things.
Yeah. Well, and plus, I mean, who hasn't had a relationship that kind of fizzled because,
nobody put
everybody
that much
just
time into it.
Yeah. Or just stuff happened.
Yes.
It's like, it was nothing dramatic. It was just, they drifted apart. It happens.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it happens. Like, there wasn't like, as I lovingly say, there wasn't drama.
No.
They just they just drifted. It's like it happens, and it doesn't need, and it does also flow into the beginning of Thor Ragnarok, where Thor indicated he was running around dealing with various threats to Asgard. They didn't say anything about Jane. They didn't anything, but it's just, it flows into that, because then now you understand why Thor was so busy at the beginning of Ragnarok. A lot of it was just his duties, and then part of it would probably also be, this is me coping with the fact that, my girlfriend broke up with me.
And you think about it, she was getting bigger with her scientific theories and her books and her lectures. He was getting busier as the leader of Asgard and all that other stuff. I mean, when you've got those two types of high-powered careers, it can be difficult. And both of them were struggling, and neither one of them were talking. Rule number one, communication.
Yep.
But it was so great. And I've really enjoyed Natalie Portman in this role.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, we've had such a high caliber of actors in general in the MCU. So when you have someone like Natalie Portman, who is just so talented and could go from playing Shakespeare in one movie to switching to a comic book in another, and you believe her because she's a good enough actress, you feel it, you believe it, you really enjoy it. And this has really I've heard some people say, oh, well, it's a parody, or it's funny, or it's goofy. Well, it's a lot more nuanced than that, and it's got some of the best talent today in the acting world in this movie.
And I mean, I understand why someone will say, oh, it's goofy, it's a parody, Thor shouldn't be this goofy. But it's like...
Have they not read the comics?
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that, it's still... I know that there were some that criticized... Love and Thunder. They felt that they kind of I saw one thing on DeviantArt that kind of made fun of, the fact that it's like, oh, yeah, Jane has cancer. Oh, but let's do some jokes. It's like, it's okay to have balance. You don't have to just like how their breakup was it's something that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you don't have to be like, you don't have to sit there and be like, angst.
Right. And most of the time in real life,
cancer,
when you've got a terminal illness, most people are not wallowing. It tends to make people be more cognizant of life and living, or there's so many different things that you go through in the real world. It's not like a soap opera where you've got cancer, dun dun dun,
dun dun dun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
in the real world, when you've got these highs and these lows in your life, and we all experience them to certain levels, it just, life still goes on, things still happen. Just because Jane is sick, I'm kind of impressed that she was one of those people who could take the strength to go, well, I'm going to try something different. And then when she felt the hammer calling to her, she's like, well, I know what I got to do. I don't know if I would be that strong, but boy, I wish I would. I really hope that I would be that strong in that situation. That's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I noticed they plopped in a cameo by Darcy and by Dr. Selvig.
Yeah. Nice job.
I kind of have to wonder. I have to wonder those Darcy's like hanging with Jane while she gets her while she gets her chemo. I kind of wonder if she told Jane about dealing with Scarlet Witch in Westview. Wonder how Jane would feel listening to those stories. It's like, wait a minute, she took an entire town and turned it into a sitcom. What?
It definitely is one of those things where some of our, I'm going to call them side characters because I don't want to call them sidekicks.
Yeah.
And I don't want to,
like
but some of our side characters,
supporting characters. There we go. Yeah. There we go. We'll go with that.
They have done a wonderful job of adding depth and being there and showing up in some of the strangest places, like in WandaVision. It's like, you know what? I'm kind of glad it was the people that we had, because if it had been someone too big or too famous or too whatever, I don't know if it would have worked as well, because then wouldn't have Thor done something different than these other characters. Plus, it makes sense because she would keep these people in her life. She's continuing to work with them. We already knew that to some degrees anyway. It made sense. And it made sense. Who's she going to call that's going to give her the least amount of angst while she's going through chemo and other things? She's not going to call, she's not going to call Thor. She's going to call somebody she knows who can keep quiet. She knows she's going to call someone she knows she can trust, and somebody
to distract her.
Be there. Yes.
Well, also to distract her, to be Yeah.
She's not looking for a superhero to get through chemo.
Yeah.
But and it just, all those little things, I have to say, because we're kind of leaning that way. The Easter eggs in this, even I was kind of like, oh my God, hold it, what? You know. And now I feel like I cannot wait till it's on Disney Plus, because I want to watch it 3 more times. Have much fun.
You know what? It's funny.
All these things I want to catch now that what you heard? What? Where was that?
Yeah, no, I know that at the end when when Thor is confronting Gorr in the in that gateway to eternity. I know that you can see a statue to the Living Tribunal in the background.
Yeah.
That one I caught immediately, especially because it had no neck and the head was kind of free floating. But when it comes on Disney Plus, when it comes on Blu-ray and DVD, I want it. I want it so I can pause, because I want to see what those other statues were.
Yes.
There's so there's Living Tribunal. There's the Watcher. There's Death.
The Watcher's there.
Yes, there's the Watcher. There's Death.
Oh.
It's
Crap.
like the whole group is there, but you really need to be able to pause it to see them all.
I think it was Eon, but I'm not sure. I saw a face mixed with something I couldn't recognize, and usually that's Eon. But
I mean, he kind of looks like a big. Kind of looks like a weird tree, so I
saw those, definitely the Watcher and definitely Death, because it's the hooded skull.
If it's a hood with a skull face, that's Death right there. Which given the fact that we dealing with death, like the death of gods and Jane's dying, having Death be one of the statues is like, okay, whoa, that's a little too close.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, okay, that's a little too close.
But you kind of almost would expect to see that in the comic books, and of course we remember when we read the comic books, sometimes they'd have those characters in the background and then they come to the foreground and you go, oh my God, now we're going to have this next.
Also,
I'm excited about that.
Oh yeah. Also, it's when you deal with cosmic stuff in Marvel, all these cosmic entities will pop out. sometimes, death will join in on the conversation, but, sometimes you'll have eternity, the Watcher, Master Order, and Lord Chaos, the In-Betweener, all these cosmic characters just get together. And, sometimes you'll have a character like Quasar or Doctor Strange will like pop in on the meeting, and they'll just kind of look at him and be like, okay, little person, little gnat, what you doing here?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, what? You want to lecture us? Hi. Yeah. Hi. Yes. This is Eternity. Nice to meet you. I'm the embodiment of all reality. Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because when you go, because these are characters who are truly kind of beyond gods. They're a whole nother level beyond the concept of gods.
Well, it's like they are, they're not so much gods as they are the building blocks of reality as we understand it made manifest. I mean, the living tribunal is supposed to be one step below
God.
He's below God. It's like he's not the big man in charge, but he is under him. Like everybody else is beholden to him. He's the one who could be like, hey, behave, or I wipe this entire thing out. Okay, this is bad. I'm gonna lock this reality away from everything else. And if you don't like it, tough. I'll give you one chance to talk to me. One chance, convince me. Go.
I think that like what we're talking about, I think is my favorite part about this entire movie is that we're finally to the point where these gods and the cosmic entities aren't just a Easter egg or like a small little thing on a movie.
They're important.
Now they're actually here. They're real, like in the comics. We're here. There's Zeus. There's eternity right in the flesh. We're here, and I'm glad that like we're finally like getting there, because I can only imagine like what other cosmic stuff that we're going to touch up on later.
Oh yeah, and it's not just it's getting and it also kind of goes. This is something I do want to bring up later, because I know that there are some people who are like, so what's Phase 4 been about? I feel like parts of Phase 4 have been about the fact that now that Thanos is done, it's not just going to be, we're going to get back to normal and everything's fine and we don't, it's like the door is now open and there is there's some
back to normal.
Well, there's now stuff is out there that is now knows about Earth and that we now know of. So it's like the game just kicked up a giant notch. And I think that's part of what Thor: Love and Thunder shows, which is the fact that now the other gods are in play, and we're also dealing with beings that just represent the totality of everything.
Yes.
So it's like so we're
because in the comics we've always had that where there is always somebody who, shall we say, wants to be the center of the universe. Thanos was just one of many that we've met through the years in the comics that think they know best for everybody, kind of wants to put himself on the platform that he's going to be the top whatever type creature you want to call it, and he's going to call the shots and he knows best, and blah blah blah. And there's always another one around the corner. Sometimes we don't see them right away, but eventually in the comics we've had it where because when you think about it, if once you have one of these big baddies, and even I can't remember which one was the first big baddie like this, but it was a long time ago, and but so there's always going to be somebody who wants to be the top of the pyramid, who wants to be the top of the list, who wants to be the ultimate, hey, it's me. And the net result is that the Avengers, the X-Men, all these various characters are continuously saving the universe, not just the world, the universe, from what's going to happen next.
Yep. With that, we are going to have to take a break as we try to wrap all this cosmic stuff around our heads, because whoa, man, that's big. But when we come back, we will be talking more about Thor: Love and Thunder, and I think we're gonna get into, we've been talking about the gods, but let's get into the God Butcher. Dun dun dun.
We'll be back with more of Mark Who 42's universe.
By the power of Grayskull, I command the Jawbridge. Open!
The Powers of Grayskull series will cover every episode of all 4 Masters of the Universe cartoons. Join Optimus Solo and myself, TF2 and Mike, as we tell tales of Eternia, discover the myths of Etheria, become masters in space, and finally Masters of Grayskull. We'll have a commentary on the Secret of the Sword film, and a few other special episodes. You can find this 125-episode-long podcast in iTunes and on the web at geekcastradio.com. By the power and honor of Grayskull, we all have the power.
Hurry, Skeletor, hurry! I am hurrying, I'm hurrying!
You are listening to Mark Who 42's universe.
Hey everybody, welcome back. You're listening to us on either the internets or Subspace Radio, but you're listening to us talk about Thor: Love and Thunder, the latest MCU film and the latest adventures of everybody's favorite god of thunder, who also has shown they are the god of having a really toned body to a point where if my wife fantasized about Chris Hemsworth like the evening after we saw the movie, yeah, I can't get mad. It's like, you know what? The scene where he gets disrobed by flick
Zeus.
When Zeus flicks too hard, it's one of those things I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can't get mad. I can't.
Hey, I hear that
Damn.
even Chris Pratt was impressed, and his father-in-law Schwarzenegger. So
Yeah. I thought his father was Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah, that's it.
But yeah, that was oh man, we've talked about Jane. We talked about the cosmic beings that popped up. Which, by the way, I love the fact that we got Eternity, and I love the fact he had no dialogue.
Yeah,
because it's like, you know what, it feels like a thing of, if he did talk at all during the scene where he himself actually showed up, we probably wouldn't have heard him, because it's like he's so up as far as the weight class is concerned, that it would be like a fly trying to have a conversation with us right now. We wouldn't hear him and they wouldn't hear us. So, but
I just wish that he was just a bit bigger.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if what we saw isn't like,
it's like a 1% bit, or like even if that.
You know what?
Eternity.
You know what? Chances are, well, given the fact that we're talking about freaking eternity, I wouldn't be surprised if you're right, and I'm cool with it, because this is freaking eternity. I mean, if he was actual,
and what's to say that eternity didn't choose to make the appearance?
Yeah,
himself that size.
Yeah. Well, because he's interacting with what, like Christian Bale's like what, 6 something, 5 foot something, 6 foot something.
Like that.
If you're dealing with, it's like when you talk to a small child, you sometimes have to bend down to reach their level. So yeah, eternity being the embodiment of all reality, probably was like, okay, well, all right, somebody breached the wall of eternity. Okay, I got to talk to somebody. Oh, okay, it's somebody who's mad at worshiping gods. I could just use a 10-foot tall aspect. I don't need to go full. I don't need to go full bore. But yeah. And speaking of, Gorr the God Butcher. Okay.
Yeah.
I will admit, I'm gonna have a confession here. I did not read the Gorr the God Butcher saga when it first came out. I've read it, a little bit since. I'll say that the idea behind, well, first off, anybody who follows the comics, his sword, the Necrosword, is actually tied in to Venom.
Yes.
It's actually, if I recall correctly, it was created by the god of the symbiotes, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that thingy.
So,
which is why and even though they toned it down because of course, we have some licensing issues, but it still felt that visually in the comics, of course, a lot, but in this movie, it still felt visually, you could almost feel a connection to it. Because when I read that, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and when you think about the sword thinks on its own. It has its own kind of sentientness. Not sure how to describe that one.
Yeah.
And the Necro Sword is very much the actual push, as opposed to takes the natural feelings of, in this case, Gorr, but the previous character also that we see.
Whoever was that previous owner,
the previous holder of the Necro Sword, and I think it was may have even been Thor or one of the other characters now that gave us that 2-sentence description about how it warps their mind and how it ultimately is the push, well, that would make sense, because when you think about Venom and you think about the symbiote, how does that work in the Spider-Man universe? Well, it's very much the same thing, that you think you're controlling the symbiote, but on you, it's the other way around.
Yeah, well, no, and it's also and then also the thing that gets me on the character of Gorr is, I'm someone who is like classically, who learned stuff classically. Like, I knew all about I studied all about the Greek gods and, the old polytheistic religions. And it's like a character, it's interesting that a character like this, showing up like nowadays, because you look at some of these stories and how do I put this in the nicest way possible? The gods can be jerks. So, having somebody who's kind of like, this is, these guys are jerks, and I really want to call them out on it, and I really want them to, like, to kind of feel the pain I feel.
Is something that most of us watching it can identify with. That and it can be such a struggle, and when you have loss, and when you're questioning things. And of course, many of the gods in the Marvel universe, going all the way back to Ego, who I realize is not truly a god. He's a completely different kind of creature.
Well, yeah.
But still, it's just the fact that you've got these characters who sometimes forget that they have created this persona for themselves, that they're a god and they're there to help the people that they're overseeing. But sometimes they forget that and they're more interested. I mean, you think about Thor when we first met him in the first movie, and he was young and he was brash and he was more about gaining, trophies and honors than about doing the right thing. So for Gorr to have that feeling after that horrible situation with his daughter and losing his entire world, everyone he loved, everyone he knew, they were praying to their god and their god just wasn't paying attention. And it makes so much sense. And on many levels, many of us can understand that emotion and that feeling and that strength of anger. And then he picks up the Necro Sword, and from that moment on, it just puts his anger and his sorrow on steroids.
Oh yeah, no, it's that. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and it's like it goes even like, and as I was kind of saying at the beginning of this conversation, it goes back to even antiquity, you know, where gods just don't care, or what they care about is, look, quit complaining to me and just love me. And it's like, here's the thing, and it also goes to this idea, a lot of people, one of the things about religion is about talking to God, in whatever form God takes. And it's like, imagine, God response. And you can kind of almost sympathize with Gorr, because in this case, he received what a lot of people want, which is to actually have God speak to them.
And then
it's like,
God
imagine,
essentially laughs in his face.
Well, God is basically like, well, what do you want me to do? It's like, imagine God responds to you, and God is like, well, what the hell do you want me to do about it?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that when we meet Zeus, and he's the top of the pyramid here in this in this middle of everywhere world, omnipotent city.
omnipotence or something. I don't know.
Omnipotencity.
I think
something like that.
I think it's omnipotence, like with the CE.
I'm just going to say it wrong, honey. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, no. Believe me. I've been tongue twisting myself on that as well.
But the reality of it becomes that, Zeus being one of the most fickle of all the gods ever described in any form of mythology or stories or even beliefs, even the ancient Greeks who firmly believed in their pantheon of gods, even they thought Zeus was fickle and far more human-like.
Oh yeah. Well, and he also played the field.
Yes.
I mean, there are stories where Zeus is a very to put this the best way possible, because it's a family show. He really loved the ladies.
Yes, and he would convert himself to anything and everything to win over.
Yep.
And when you have the stories of the demigods like Hercules, which we'll get to later.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And how he got with their parents. I mean, growing up and studying the Greek mythology, it was one of my favorite areas was mythology and theology. And it was like, I don't know if I'd be thrilled. I'd be kind of like, I'm sorry, you're what? You're who? You're no.
Well,
but that's just me.
Yeah.
It is. It's a fascinating, weird, and he always got what he wanted. And the fact that he was such a jerk in this movie was perfect. That's exactly the way he's written in the mythology.
Yes. Well, and also, although, you know what? I did detect a little bit of nuance, because you look at the previews for this movie and he just looks like, he looks like not just the father of the Greek gods, but he looks like the all-time jock of existence. He is,
but now he's 60. He got a little paunch.
Yeah, but to me, it's like one of the things I did detect some nuance, and that was when he's talking to Thor, and Thor is kind of trying to push, like, hey, we got to get an army against the God Butcher. We got to raise an army. And he's just like, hey, look, okay, this is the freaking God Butcher. All right. He slayed a ton of us. I don't want to get into that. Like, you kind of get that part of the persona is an act, because he's scared spitless and and he doesn't want to die, because this guy is using the necrosword to kill gods. And it's like, he's basically of the opinion of, you know what, I don't feel like dying. I don't feel like being a dead god. So I'm just going to sit here in my comfortable bubble. We're going to party hardy and not think about it.
Right.
So because I have a question. Like this is the classic who watches the Watchmen question, but who's the person who constitutes what a god is in the Marvel universe? Because I could have sworn that, like, throughout this entire movie, I sat here saying, okay, when you die and you turn into the yellow golden sparkles, that means that you're a god, I guess. But then I saw Jane die, and then she turned to the yellow sparkles. But we all know Jane's not a god, outside of, I guess, counting out Thor. You can technically say she's a god, but she's a human. So what constitutes, who says you're a god and you're a god, or you're a god?
Stanley.
Yeah, the late great Stan. You know what? I think, okay, in terms of Jane, I think she was given, we're going to bring up Hercules again. We're going to bring up classic mythology.
Yeah.
Hercules, okay, yeah, he was the result of one of Zeus's wild weekends. But the thing is, he got his godhood. It wasn't until he sacrificed. It wasn't. It's kind of one of these things where you reach this status because of your actions. That it's a reward. It's a reward that you've attained this. So I'm willing to say that with Jane, it's because she sacrificed. It's because she put the welfare of others above herself and used the power that she had gotten for a selfless goal. That whether it was eternity or whether it was some other power, was like, you know what? you deserve to be rewarded. This was, by the way, I noticed that in the comics, after, when Jane's time as Thor was up, that there was a little bit of, I wouldn't say Deus Ex Machina, but that she did get to, her cancer did go into remission, and she did get to survive. And I noticed that here, she died at the end. Would it have been cool to have Natalie Portman make a couple of other appearances as Jane Foster? Yeah,
but do you think she's going to stay in Valhalla? Come on.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. One of the end credit scenes did show that after she turned into the yellow sparkle stuff, she appeared at the gates of Valhalla, and the late great Heimdall was like, "Hey, guess what? You proved yourself worthy, and you get to chill in Valhalla." I'm pretty sure that that's a great opening to bring her back in some form or another. But the fact that, it's one of those things of, while she seems to die here, and it does suck because that does, barring some sort of, twist that allows her to come back, it seems like her story is done. But I will say this, at least they gave her, at least the great thing about that end credits scene is that it gave her a happy ending.
Yes.
In the sense that her her sacrifice was not totally like, she was she got a reward for it. She was whatever determines this. And I'm sorry, Zion, that we can't provide you with like a definitive answer. But
stop it.
Whatever. Yeah. Whatever.
It's one above all, because we saw the Living Tribunal.
Yep. Well, okay. So yeah, the one above all. Yeah, and I'm not talking about the Celestial.
Oh.
Ooh! I did. Oh, we just did a deep dive.
Oh.
We did a deep dive because there's two beings that use the term one above all. There's a Celestial, and there's a Celestial, and there's an actual being that is referred to as like the Living Tribunal's boss. It's like this is the guy, to say, this is the big one. And by the way, did anybody notice 2 Celestials were hanging around in Omnipotent City?
Yep.
Yeah.
I noticed them.
One of the Celestials' heads was also one of the heads in the Eternity Room.
Ooh, okay. So
If you remember, Gorr cut off a head, and I think Thor saved the kids from the head, and that head was a Celestial head.
Ooh, okay. Whoa. So yeah, that's the thing. Celestials get to hang out with the big crowd.
Yes.
I lose track of how many times, like I think Secret Wars 2, the comic book Secret Wars 2, a Celestial was part of a group of, beings that confronted the Beyonder. Infinity Gauntlet, at least 2 Celestials were hanging out when all the cosmic aspect entities were hanging out and talking about, what do we do about Thanos,
While we're on it,
yep.
What a Jane's death really reminded me of? The death of Captain Marvel. It is almost, once you think about it, it's almost exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Because if you remember, just bear with me with this little me.
We're gonna go off to the side for a moment. It's okay.
Yeah. Remember when Thor said for the hammer to protect Jane, right?
Yeah.
And you had that little unity symbol come up, right? Yeah. And remember when Thor was fighting Gorr, and she felt the pain that Thor was feeling, right?
Oh,
yeah.
We got a connection.
The doctor also said that we don't know why, but something's fighting the cancer treatment. Remember when in Captain Marvel they said that the cosmic ability of Captain Marvel was keeping all of the heroes from fighting the cancer?
Oh, so the negabands that Captain Marvel had, yeah. And by the way, we're talking. By the way, for those who don't know, we're talking about Marvel in the comics, who famously he succumbed to cancer, and one of the things is you had a bunch of heroes trying to cure him, and apparently the negabands, while they were keeping him alive, were preventing the treatments from going through.
Yeah. So like the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because the doctor said we don't know why, but something's blocking the cancer treatment.
Right.
And like, is that plus the triunity symbol that came up when Thor told her to protect her? What if that's like some god symbol stuff? Because that was never explained. That just came up.
And and there's a bunch of those little things in there that, are they warning us about the future or foretelling us about the future? Is there something that we don't know? And you do get that impression that there is more to Jane's story. What it is, I don't know. It could go a couple different ways. But it's made me go, ooh, this is interesting. This is different. There's something where they're not telling us yet, but they're giving us hints, is what I think.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you, Zion. There's something else there that we're going to, in another movie, we're going to go, that's what they meant in Love and Thunder. Okay.
Yeah. Well, what I love is another thing I love is how at the end of the movie, we get the explanation as to why the movie was called Thor, Love and Thunder.
Right.
I mean, that when, Korg's closing narration, and yeah, we find out that Gorr's daughter actually is named Love.
Yes.
And so it's like, so basically after Korg did that, final bit of narration, I'm like,
makes sense.
It's like now all of a sudden the heavens opened up and I'm like, now I get it. Okay, wow. Okay, yeah, now I get it.
Can I just say how awesome it was that almost all, if not all of Chris Hemsworth's family was like in this, including his daughter playing Love. That was that's perfect.
Well, also just incredibly sweet.
It was.
And by the way, I love the return of the actors.
Oh my God! Yes,
yes, from
you
Ragnarok.
got Matt Damon.
Yeah, Matt Damon,
the other brother,
Luke Hemsworth.
Thank you.
Yeah, the other Luke
you.
Hemsworth, Sam Neill, joined by Melissa McCarthy as Hela.
Oh, I know. She came out, and I was like, yes.
I kind of wonder. What I wonder is what. I don't know if we'll get a fifth Thor movie or not. I know that when with San Diego Comic-Con that they did show there's going to be a bunch of movies for. There's like a few movies that didn't get like filled in as to what they were. Yeah. But if we do come back, if we do have the Asgardian actors, I would love to see. I don't know. I would hope that they kind of hire somebody to play like actor Jane with like a with like an outfit with like a fake hammer, because that would just be so cool. That would be so cool. I'd love like an actor Jane or an actor an actor.
I'm trying to get this correct. The little kid is supposed to be like Love and Hate Love, like the cosmic entity Love.
Oh, you know what? Probably okay. Okay, probably not. I don't think she's supposed to be like the MCU version of Mistress Love. I think I'm going to go with it. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they're setting that up, Zion. But I think it was just that he named his child Love.
Okay.
It was one of those fatherly things where it's like, you're holding your newborn in your hands and you're just like, yes, this is the most beautiful thing in the world. This is a product of love. Okay, we're going with that. Okay. That's what we're going with here. It's like naming your child Apple. It's not that they have anything to do with apples. We're just going to name our child Apple.
Love makes a heck of a lot more sense to me, but whatever.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, no, definitely.
We even got Chris Hemsworth's wife plays one of his ex-girlfriends, the wolf woman. And then one of his sons plays Kid Thor in one of the flashback scenes to his youth. I think that was really sweet and really nice and a good touch. Sometimes when you get those, you go, oh yeah, nepotism, but it was just fun. And it was
this wasn't
good.
I mean, this wasn't, I'll say this, this wasn't, oh, we're going to do a movie where we play father and son,
right, father and
daughter. This was just, hey, let me bring my family in for the fun for a cute little thing. And it's not like they were just showing it for neon lights. hey,
Right.
I'm working with my kid.
It was just a sweet little, you know, throwing it in, and you go, okay.
And by the way, I love that one of the younger Thor forms, that his outfit was very comic accurate. Like that was a great touch. Oh, and something I do want to bring up is the fact that I guessed it. In the sense, what I guessed is the involvement of the Guardians of the Galaxy, because I was telling my wife, I said, and I don't know if I mentioned it here or not, but I figured that the Guardians were going to be in the first little part of the movie, and then they were going to like go off on their own, and Thor was going to take center stage. And I was right. Basically,
I think it worked really well too.
Yeah.
You?
Oh yeah. Well, because also here's the thing: the movie's called Thor: Love and Thunder, not Thor and his friends in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
You know,
and it was such a nice touch.
Ooh, ouch, Zion. That's
Listen, that was Mandalorian season 3. I don't care what says.
Okay. Ow. Okay.
I can understand the thought though.
but yeah, it was all, you know, it was you know, it's Thor's show. So I mean, okay, yeah. Last time we saw him, he was with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So we gotta, like, you know, we do have to touch on that. But yeah, they went off on their own thing, and we'll also see if, you know, how much of that ties into Guardians Volume 3, which we know is coming in like a year or two. So, you know,
that'll be very cool.
I'm cool with that. You know, definitely, I was cool with that. It was great seeing the group, and you know, we'll see them in their own thing. I know that we have Volume 3, and we have the Guardians Holiday Special coming up. So, you know, we will be getting.
It's gonna be so much fun.
Oh man, yeah. No, I can't wait for it. But you know, they have their own thing. And yeah, we need to not, you know, let's not be like comic books in the 90s where it's like, hey kids, here's an issue of this guest starring Wolverine, or here's an issue of this with Ghost Rider and Punisher, here's an issue of this with X-Force, you know, or here's X-Force with Wolverine and Spider-Man.
Just fine.
Yeah, no, it's like, here's the Guardians, okay, and bye-bye Guardians, okay, back to Thor. Oh geez. But oh man, it's just definitely oh geez. And I gotta say though, if you know, next time I'm at a Disney park, or I somehow find a Disney store, because like I know the one here in Reno closed down, and like I think the nearest is like what, Sacramento, I want to say.
I think there's one in Roseville, I think.
Yeah, but definitely, I'll say this: I do want to, next time I'm in a Disney store, if they have plushies of those bird pirate people, I'm getting one. I'm gonna get one, or plushies of the two goats.
Oh
yes.
Even if they have the it's like, okay, screaming goats when I squeeze it. Okay, I'm good. But on that note though, if you're listening to us on Subspace Radio, bad news. We are going to have to go bye-bye. But hey, I got good news for you. Okay, we're not going to be shuffling off to Valhalla. Okay, we're just saying goodbye here on Subspace. But go to marku42.com. We are elsewhere on the internets where we're going to keep talking about this, because yeah, there's just more we can talk about, including what character, okay, is showed up in the end credits scene, which means that they will hopefully be showing up more in the MCU. Okay.
We'll be back with more of Mark Who 42's universe.
Hello, geeks and geekettes. I'm Steve Megatron, and if you're looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of geeky topics, then check out Altered Geek. Altered Geek covers superheroes, Star Trek, pop culture, comics, film, television, animation, gaming, tech, and more. So check out Altered Geek and get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks every Friday on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, Blog Talk Radio, and the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hey, so if you're listening to this, yeah, you're one of the lucky few, the band of brothers who listen to us on via marco42.com and elsewhere on the internet. So yeah, we're keeping this party going. We're keeping the party going. This party just getting started, yo. All that jazz.
Oh, no.
So yeah, we're keeping it going, talking about Thor, Love and Thunder. And you know what? We may even talk about some of the stuff that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con, which kind of has me going, yeah, yes, bring it. Bring the things. Bring the things. I want the things. Yes.
More.
Yes. What this lady says, this lady over here. But yeah, we got, okay, so, first off, we did talk about one of the end credit scenes, which was where Jane is welcomed into Valhalla. However, we did not mention the first end credit scene. Which for this one, this end credit scene, we come back to Zeus, who in the movie proper, last time we saw him, his thunderbolt had actually been thrown back at him, and left a hole.
It hurt his little chest.
Yeah, it hurt his little chest. But it turns out, we think, oh man, did Zeus just bite it? And it actually turns out, no, it's not. He recovered, a little grouchy, but yeah, a little grouchy, but yeah, he recovered from his injuries.
Now
but
he's
decided,
blood.
Yeah, he wants blood, so he decides to send his son Hercules out to get Thor.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Yep. So we may have another Thor adventure with Hercules coming after him, maybe. To me, it was great to see Hercules because ever since Thor was announced, I'm like, and yeah, at some point we got to get Hercules. I actually, after I saw that end credits scene and thinking about it, there's something I would like to see as far as Hercules's involvement in the MCU. Okay, this is gonna sound kind of, you're gonna be like, wow, this sounds crazy, but hear me out. What I would love is, so they're setting up the classic, hero versus hero fight. And right. I'm sure, like, if it's anything like, oh, we'll have Hercules fighting Thor, and then somehow they'll come, they'll team up. But what I would love to see actually is instead of that, like instead of the traditional hero versus villain, hero versus hero fight, what I would love to see is, like, if it's me, you have Hercules going into the mortal realm, into the realm of like the mere mortals, and as he's looking for Thor, he keeps getting like drawn in to various conflicts and stuff. Like, oh, he'll touch down on Earth and he sees like this woman is about to be attacked by a mugger, and he beats the mugger up, and the woman's like, oh, thank you, and he's like, you're welcome. He keeps searching for Thor, and he sees he goes into like this third world country where a bunch of local warlords are terrorizing a village. So what does he do? He's like, he stops it, and everybody's like, oh, thank you. And it's like he keeps missing Thor and getting into these different, like, all these different situations, and then he starts like just like enjoying it. He starts having a good time, and he starts actually being like, so wait, what am I supposed to do? Oh yeah, I'm supposed to kill Thor, but I'm having too much. Like, by the time Thor finally shows up and like maybe helps him battle something else, he's just like, well, my dad said I had to kill you, but you know what? This looks like it takes two of us. So why don't we team up first, and we'll deal with my dad being mad at you after. And Thor just being like, sure. And then just after it's done, they're just kind of, they're chilling at a bar over like a thing of meat or something. And Hercules is just like, you know what, actually, I'm having too much of a good time because I know after I kill you, I'm going to have to go back and tell my dad, but I just don't feel like it. Like that's the thing. He just loses the head because he's having too much of a good time. Like that would be kind of a cool thing to do rather than the usual of like, we fight now, we fight now. And then later on, find some sort of, some sort of common ground.
Yeah.
Like that would be kind of cool. But still, I love the fact that they brought in Hercules. One thing I got to say, Omnipotent City and all the gathering of the gods.
Oh, yes.
I loved it. And here's the thing. I know that I had said one of the things that I wanted was for this, given the plot, that I would love to see the Council of Godheads. And the great thing about the scene with Zeus and the great thing about Zeus is, in that whole scene is that while it's not quite the traditional sense, I would love, it does feel like the Council of Godheads. It's kind of like a little, it's a little sort of, it's a nod to it. Like it's not quite what we got from the comics, but it's similar enough that I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. Like I'm good.
One thing that I noticed that none of the Egyptian gods from Moon Knight were there.
Yeah, I agree with that. But kind of in Moon Knight, did we feel like they had given up on humanity? But then where would they be? Wouldn't they be like here? Or...
Yeah, I think, you know what? I said, you know what? There's probably enough like of an opening.
Yeah.
To say that, the Egyptian gods, they probably, I think, because they have like their, I wouldn't be surprised if Moon Knight is taking place around this time. So they're like, we got our own thing to deal with, and they probably wouldn't be surprised if the Egyptian gods and maybe one or two other pantheons kind of feel like, you know what? We're not interested in going to the orgy. Like
that's true. They could be kind of sitting in their own little areas saying, yeah, we don't want to be around those gods.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we got our own thing. We're not, they don't feel like playing, they don't feel like playing. And they'll probably be like, well, if he shows up, we'll figure something out. We got avatars. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Let's not worry about it.
Also, I brought this up like a couple moons ago when we did the Eternals show. So we have Zeus in here. We have a lack of Zeus in the Eternals. Is that on purpose? Because
I kind of wonder.
Because in the comics, Zeus is a stand-in, at least for the inspiration of the character of Zeus. But meanwhile, we have Zeus here. But in the Eternals, also in the movie, they said that they also impersonated or they were the inspiration of said earthen gods.
Right.
I'm willing to, I could say that maybe part of this is that, I'm willing to say that maybe what's going on is that Zeus is probably like, maybe he's around. He wasn't part of the group. I'm sure that if we do more with the Eternals, you can explain that Zeus is, he didn't, he wasn't playing in the rain. He maybe had his own thing.
Yeah.
Maybe, it's one of those things. So yeah, I mean, given the amount of stuff that we had in Eternals, maybe there just wasn't a lot of room.
That's quite possible.
So, I'm sure that, because like, I'm sure it's not a conscious thing.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure that it wasn't one of those things where they're like, oh, forget Zuros, man.
Like
we're dealing with cooler stuff.
It is. I just find it really fun and like really intriguing that like in the span of what 4 movies there was no gods, and now everyone's like, are these gods? No, those gods. No, those aren't gods.
Yes,
we're talking about these gods.
Yeah. Well, also remember,
it kind of works though, because in the comic books we do have similar ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and also
it's not unheard of in this world.
Yeah. Well, and also going to something that I was saying earlier, the fact that we live, the way the MCU is, there's like a lot of stuff that goes on that we're not, that the world at large is not privy to. A lot of hidden stuff, and that things like, for example, in Infinity War and Endgame opened the world up to. It's like now we're real, now, as Obi-Wan so wonderfully said, you've taken your first step into a much larger world. Now we're aware of things.
That's another question that I want to ask. So like now we've reached to the point where like now we're pretty much going into the actual Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And so is there anywhere that we haven't touched? Like now we're in cosmic, now we're in a mystic, now we're in multiverse, and then now with this movie we're in God stuff. Is there anywhere that we haven't touched up yet? Like I think the only thing that I can think of is the microverse or something like that. But like we have like the quantum realm, which I guess can count as a microverse.
Yeah.
So
also with the like the quantum realm would have to like suffice, if only because with the microverse you got to be careful, because I know that there are concepts from Micronauts,
yes,
which are not owned by Marvel, so you kind of have to tread lightly, and make sure that you're not stepping on a few toes, because then you get into territory that's just like, okay, whoa, we're gonna, we got lawsuits. So that may be why we have the quantum realm. But as far as like any realm that hasn't been touched, I think we've touched all the corners in one form or another.
Besides the negative zone, but I'm pretty sure that's coming up eventually.
Oh, hey, if we got the FF, that the negative zone is yeah. I mean, heck, even the even I wouldn't be surprised if you could tie it into where Gorr the God Butcher was keeping the kids.
Yeah,
because it was called like the Realm of Darkness or something. Yeah, it had something like that. It had one of those, it had one of those, cool titles like that. So if that's in play, then that we could probably get the negatives, the negative zone, especially if FF, the FF are waiting in the wings, and we know that they have a movie coming in appropriately 2024. That the negative zone will be touched on in some form or another. But yeah, definitely. That is, I don't think there's any corner that hasn't been touched in some form. Even
it might have only been slightly, but I think you guys are right that we've kind of now, and it's taken quite a few movies and TV shows to get there, because the Marvel universe is a very vast collection of everything. So it's fascinating that we have managed then, in I guess actually a relatively short period of time, a little of this, little of that. We haven't touched on every storyline. That will be impossible. We're going to have about 7,000 more Marvel movies to touch on everything. So
either that
I'll
or
watch
like
them, what the heck,
it would either be that, or we would have to have 7,000 Marvel movies, or 3,500 Marvel movies that have
Yeah.
We either have to have 3,500 7,000 Marvel movies, or 3,500 that would be like 4 hours long. If we want to like,
yeah,
it's just, it is, yeah, it's like, it's impossible. It is impossible.
But it's one of the things that is fascinating about the MCU and Marvel in general, is that there is so much we can do and so much we can grow into and add new. Because in the comic books, we're always evolving, changing, growing, adding storylines, that if something new appears in the movies, it's not a deal breaker. It's in line with the comics, that you can't just do storylines or suggestions back. But thank you, Marvel, for all of the Easter eggs that harken back to my childhood. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, definitely.
It's a fascinating place we can take this. And as much as, we all love what we've been watching, the continuing on and moving to other characters, which, I guess could say, as you and I were talking earlier today, the world of the MCU is moving ahead at light speed to intermingle various fandoms. And where we're going next is very fascinating. And some areas I didn't know we were going to go until they started announcing it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Which, I think honestly, I think we can actually make this a great segue.
My awkward segue into a great segue. Love it.
Yep. No, my for me, it's but yeah, definitely for me, last week while we were, last week was San Diego Comic-Con. And one of the things is there was a lot, like, okay, Marvel came to play. They brought it out. They seriously, they brought out their A game. They brought their A+ game. They brought out their A game with like extra credit points.
I love that.
That's the best way to describe it, because first of all, we had the first trailer for Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2, which I want to say is like the next movie that's coming out in theaters. We had a trailer for that, which it's like, holy cow, bring the tissues. It's like, do you have tissues? Do you need tissues? Who needs tissues? Because that was tears time. They brought that out. They announced, and then they just dropped, like, the announcements were insane. Yeah. They were just totally insane. It was like, hey, remember we have Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania coming out? Here you go. Which, by the way, there was footage that was shown at San Diego Comic-Con only to attendees, unfortunately. So yeah, you had to be attending the convention. Also, they had footage from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which, they did not. They had footage from that, which also was shown just to attendees, unfortunately. They also, what was it? And they just dropped, like, they went insane as far as film and TV announcements. What If Season 2 coming out early next year. We've got, we already have the shows that were announced, we're basically set in stone. We've got Secret Invasion, we've got Echo, She-Hulk. They dropped another trailer for that. She's coming next month. They dropped a little trailer for I Am Groot, which looks adorable. Mm-hmm. Like, stop it, Disney, Marvel, stop it with the cuteness. Or if you're going to keep going with the cuteness, where the heck is my Jeff the Land Shark? Dang it. I want my Jeff the Land Shark. But yeah, they dropped the mic big time. The place where it's like, holy cow, like OMG. The big one was, first off, Daredevil's coming back. And when I say Daredevil's coming back, I don't mean, oh, hey, he's going to be showing up in She-Hulk. Oh, he's going to be in Echo. No, he is getting a show. Daredevil, Born Again. And by the way, D'Onofrio is going to be there too. So, we're getting these guys back. Let's see. Other stuff. Spider-Man is getting an animated series called Spider-Man Freshman Year.
I'm sorry to cut in, but you said Born Again, right?
Yeah, Born Again.
Like the Frank Miller comic?
Named after the Frank Miller comic, so we'll see.
Ooh.
We will see. Here's the thing. We'll see how much of that comes out.
Interesting.
We'll see how much of it is, is it named after the Frank Miller comic just because it's a cool name? Or
is there going to be some real connection?
Yeah, because anybody who's read the Frank Miller comic knows that, poor Matt Murdock. Yeah, poor Matt Murdock was put through the ringer.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We shall see. But good catch. Let's see. Oh man, I'm trying to think of what else. Of course, we've got the Marvels coming up. We've got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. But Blade is coming November of next year. So that was a trigger that was pulled. We are getting Blade next year. The other thing we're getting, oh man, what else are we getting? Oh, the other thing, we are getting a fourth Captain America movie. It's called Captain America New World Order, and it was already said, like when they said that they were going to do another Captain America movie to give Sam Wilson's Cap, some stuff. But yeah, we know it's the Sam Wilson Cap. Can't wait to see what New World Order means. I already know there's a couple of places where they're like, trying to take a guess. The thing, though, there are two things that just blew the house down, that just had people going, oh, heck yeah. And for me, it is number one, okay, we are getting the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four are coming in, they are actually opening. The Fantastic Four movie will open Phase 6. You heard that right.
Wow.
We are getting Phase 6, and it starts with the Fantastic Four. And all I got to say is, please, 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 I am begging you, Marvel, keep John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
I think I'm hearing that they are.
Please.
I will keep it
that may
simpler.
Just be a rumor, but
I'll keep it simpler. Don't screw it up.
Okay.
Because we have two bad ones, and if we get a third one, this stuff ain't coming back. So please,
you know what?
And
just make
love
sure
the
it's
Fantastic
good.
Four.
You know what?
Fantastic Four is a great group. It's a great series of comics. Do it right, do it real, and make us all proud.
You know what?
It's Marvel's first family. Like
exactly.
This wouldn't be here without them. So
and
they
you know what?
A decent movie, at least one.
Yeah. Well, also, I would say that, but I will say this: I'm guardedly optimistic because this is the Fantastic Four that we're this is the MCU.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four in the MCU. So I have faith. Like, they've managed to bring the heroes that they brought in. They've done a good job. They've done a good job of bringing them in. So I have faith that whoever gets put in charge of this film, whoever gets put in charge of the writing, the directing, the actors, that they're going to bring their A game. They're going to bring their A games. They are going to do us proud. So I have, I have faith. I have faith that, I'm going to be guardedly optimistic that
there you go.
Ironically enough, I'm going to pull the trigger on this. I have faith that fourth time's the charm.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be great if, because this is the Fantastic Four. So the fourth time that they try to do a franchise with this is when it gets right.
That could be.
Technically fifth, if we want to, if we want to count the two movies in the aughts as their own thing, or if we want to count them as like the two as like a one single thing, and then the other, But basically, it's, I'm just saying, hey,
I am definitely for it.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
Nice.
Zion. Oh, dude. Oh,
Hey,
I saw what you did there.
Sometimes you just got to have a little fun.
Yeah.
And maybe if they're laughing, they'll get it right.
Oh, yeah, true. But the other announcement that blew the doors open, as far as like announcements, we are getting 2 more Avengers movies. Not 1, but 2 Avengers movies. Okay, it's Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, which
both I'm really looking forward to.
And here's the other thing. It's not like when we had Infinity War and Endgame. They are coming out the same year.
That blows your mind, doesn't it? It's like, but you
one
can't,
comes out.
right?
Yeah, one comes out like in April or May of like I think it's 2025, and then the other comes out more towards the end of the year, like November. So, to me, it's like, holy moly, this is a dream freaking come true. I'm also curious as to what, like, here's the thing, Kang Dynasty, that was this great, huge storyline that Kurt Busiek did to wrap up his run on Avengers back like in the late 90s, early 2000s. Secret Wars, there is just so, like, those 2 words opens up a flood of possibilities. One is something like the original comic book miniseries, which was a group of heroes and a group of villains being dropped into a planet and just told, fight it out. There's that. Then there's also the most recent version of Secret Wars, which was like back in 2015 or so. And that one was how reality got wiped out, except for this one chunk. And you just had, all this, you had like time space shenanigans, the incursions that were listed in, that were mentioned in Multiverse of Madness. The incursions played a big part of that in the lead-in to that version of Secret Wars.
Yes.
So I'm just like, there's so many places you can go, especially because Kang is involved. So it's like, okay, what is happening here? What is going to go on here? Which flavor of Secret Wars is going to happen? I think the only Secret Wars version that we're not going to get is the one that Brian Michael Bendis did, like in the early 2000s, which had that one was Nick Fury gathering a bunch of heroes for an off-the-books invasion of Latervia. Although I will say this.
But do we really know?
Yeah, do we? I mean, maybe that will pop up. Maybe they will have it in in some form or another. Maybe, but we'll see. We shall see what they bring out.
I hate to be that actual guy, but that one's called Secret War.
Okay,
I really hate to be that guy.
All right, no, you know what? No, I'm fine. I'm fine with that, especially because you know what? Secret Wars. The idea still, the thought still stands.
Yeah,
it still stands that something. This just opens the door for a ton of stuff.
Right.
Oh, another announcement.
Introducing some new characters.
Yep.
That going forward, because as
yeah.
these actors are leaving the MCU,
yep.
there's so many characters involved with the MCU that they could add and build up, and I can't wait to see who's next.
Oh yeah. And then also, I mean, also the other thing is that, you know, we have these, you know, we have all these characters that can come into the MCU. Oh, another announcement that people were like, yes, this is awesome. Thunderbolts. We're getting a Thunderbolts movie. So, you know, and it's like, and, you know, we have enough, like we have some stuff. US Agent got introduced in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yelena Belova got introduced in Black Widow, and she showed up in Hawkeye. So we have the ingredients to make a Thunderbolts, and I know that Emil Blonsky was a part of Shang-Chi, and he's going to be showing up in She-Hulk. So we have pieces coming into place to do Thunderbolts. Here's the thing: the 2025 slate, the only things that we really know about are the Avenger movies. There's like slots open.
Spots.
Yeah, there's spots open that have not been filled in. So we could get another Thor movie. We could get we could get an Eternals sequel. We could get a Shang-Chi sequel. You know, we could get Young Avengers, because that's another thing has, you know,
I've heard that scuttlebutt going around.
Well, again, the ingredients are there, because we have America Chavez, we have Miss Marvel, we have Kate Bishop. In Falcon and Winter Soldier, we were introduced to Isaiah Bradley and his nephew. Okay, his nephew was introduced, and anybody who read the comics knows that he was, he had the identity of the Patriot in the comics. So again, there are ingredients, and with Kang the Conqueror now in play, we could even have Iron Lad. Casey, I know that Casey Lang, thanks to the events of Endgame, she's now older, and the promotional materials, the promotional poster for Quantum Mania shows her in a costume, apparently using the identity of Stinger. So it's like, okay, that is now in play. So we could get Young Avengers. We could get something entirely new, because one of the scuttlebutts is Nova. Maybe Nova will be a part of round 6. This
is going to be fun.
Oh yeah. Oh no. See, that's the thing, because I don't want to be negative. Like, I really don't want to be negative, but the comparing what DC and Warner Brothers brought to the table at San Diego, it's no contest, because really the only things that DC and Warner Brothers talked about were Black Adam and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. They had a trailer for both. And it's like,
which I'm excited to see both of those. And I think they're going to be very good. But it does make you look at it and go, interesting.
It's like Marvel came in, DC came in, and it's like, hey guys, so here's Shazam and here's evil Shazam. Cool, right?
Right.
Whereas, there's like 8 different Batman projects too.
There was something that went around that was like DC's slate of upcoming movies or something, and it's like a whole bunch of Batman related stuff. I think that was a joke. At least I hope it was a joke.
I hope so too.
Yeah, but the fact is that the 2 big things that they brought out were, here's a Shazam sequel and here's a movie with The Rock as evil Shazam. Whereas Marvel comes out and goes, hey everybody, who loves Daredevil? Yay! Daredevil's back. Who loves Blade?
Yeah.
Yay! Blade is back. Do you love the Thunderbolts? Yay! Thunderbolts are back.
It's like the pep rally versus the so we're trying to do something and nothing's going right, but y'all like Shazam, so we're gonna do that again.
Here's I mean, okay. I will say this. I do feel sorry for them because, they need to promote a Flash movie when their main Flash actor
is someone that you don't want to promote right now.
Yeah, they and I'm using the right pronouns here.
Yes.
They have been in a spot of trouble in recent times. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to be like, "Hey, look, kids, the Flash." Not to mention
kids
that,
don't look at the Flash.
Yeah. It's like, what about the Flash movie? What Flash movie? What's going on with Ezra Miller? Ezra who? It's like we don't talk about Ezra. And then Aquaman, the Aquaman sequel also has a similar problem.
Right.
With the fact that one of its stars has been in trouble.
A little bit for DC, but I also feel like the DC universe, let's be honest, they have been hit or miss. A lot of their one-offs have done better than their attempts at collections. They've had more complaints about their CGI. They've had more complaints about their stories. They've had more complaints about their actors. I feel like there's a lot more disjointed. And while nobody likes a micromanager, with Kevin Feige heading up MCU, he seems to have created a world, and I don't know how much he micromanages it, but he knows what's going on. He's keeping the continuity. He's keeping the peace. And he's keeping the fans happy, and the new fans who have heard their introduction of this was not the comic books, but maybe Iron Man or one of the more recent movies. And so, their desire and their push feels like it's more fan-centric, whereas DC feels like it's more, do it, they'll come, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And
well, it's just
that's why the Batman, which was so separate from everything, did so much better overall with fans and critics than some of the more recent things. Not to mention their animated series, their animated DVDs, and they're on HBO, have been doing phenomenal. And they don't even know how to play that up. It's like, no offense, DC.
Oh yeah. Well,
you guys have got something that's very profitable. Why don't you focus on that and stop shooting yourself in the foot?
Yeah, well, and as far as the animated stuff is concerned, my response to that is simply just hashtag renew Young Justice.
Yes.
It recently wrapped up. I think it's like its 4th season.
Yeah.
And my thing is the fact that we still don't have a renewal has me going, what are you waiting for?
Why would you not do something that's actually doing well with everybody?
Yeah, and the fans
is generating money.
Well, and the fans actually, here's the thing. Compared to a certain something that I'm not going to mention, the fans one of the first things I did when I went on Twitter was I joined the movement to renew Young Justice, and it was just renew Young Justice. Let's renew Young Justice. And it's like, that's the thing, if you can devote all this time to giving us a 4-hour film,
right?
That was essentially somebody's. And yes, I'm going to go here, and you can hate me all you want, but the Snyder Cut, if you can devote all that time to the Snyder Cut,
right,
you can give Young Justice a renewal.
Yes. And I think they really need to think about it more. And no offense, when you see an organization like the Marvel, who is doing it right and doing it well, and is not only have they been, their movies and TV series have now been popular for quite a few years. So it's not like it was a fluke or a one-off. Okay, Iron Man did well. It's so much more than that now.
Well, and here's the thing.
Page from a successful CEO's book.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Because, like we mentioned Thor 2 at the beginning of the episode. Okay, we mentioned Thor 2. That did not do well.
No.
Okay, did it tank? No. But it didn't do that well.
But it didn't get the 58 viewings like some of the other ones did.
Right, exactly. Iron Man 3 has had its issues. I believe that people are incorrect in some of their assessments, but, that's a different story.
But that's okay, and it's nice in the MCU. We can respectfully disagree.
Right. But here's
you don't get that.
Well, my point though is that we have had the MCU has had a couple of, if not misfires, at least stuff that didn't.
Right. They've tripped a few times.
Stuff that they've tripped up a little bit a few times. A couple of times. But here's the thing. Okay. It hasn't affected the overall, that we're talking about here. Okay. The biggest problem with DC is Warner Brothers, when they decided to do the DCEU. Okay. Number one, they decided we got to play catch up. They decided that, let's try and rush to get to where Marvel is. Okay. And then number two, when the Justice League, when we had the first cut, the Whedon cut, and that failed to take off. Now, all of a sudden, they were like, oh, crud. Okay, let's go back to the drawing board and, go crazy trying to fix things, instead of like, okay, that didn't do so well. What's the slate that we have coming up? Okay, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do with what we have. Instead, it's just, okay, we're going to scrap all this and then we're going to try and do this. It's like, it's a rudderless ship. It's just a ship without a rudder that's just kind of getting beat up by the waves, without they don't have like a good captain. What they have is somebody who, the captain of the ship.
They have more egos and less people willing to sacrifice.
Yes, that's, what? I think that's the case, whereas Marvel, and again, you just look at San Diego. The fact that they came to San Diego last week and they brought
kicked butt.
They kicked butt. They were like, hey, you know what? You guys want more Avengers, right? Here's 2 movies. Right. Hey, you guys who were able to afford coming to San Diego, who came out here, here's some exclusive stuff. Here's your first look at Guardians. Here's your first look at Ant-Man with freaking MODOK. Okay.
I kind of feel like even when there is a misstep, they pick themselves up, they keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And so it's like, here, we're going to give. And when you think about the number of years that the MCU has been building up to this, I mean, this has been years. Yeah. Are we on 2 decades now?
We're getting close.
And so it's one of those things where, okay, so we're going to do this for the fans. And so they always throw the fans some candy. Yep. And they make us happy. They throw the comic book fans, they throw the movie fans, they give everyone a little something and just keep building and building. And when they do have a misstep, like Thor 2, which wasn't well received overall, but did they sit there and go, oh God, we suck?
Okay, like, so no more
we're
Thor.
Just gonna do better.
Yeah.
We're just going to do better.
Yeah.
And I feel like they do.
Well, and it's like, and the biggest, probably the biggest misstep that Marvel has had to deal with is Inhumans.
Yeah.
The Inhumans
truly was one of
that was a
missteps.
But you know what? It hasn't killed anything, No. The Inhumans, the Inhumans movie, the Inhumans was supposed to be a movie. It then turned into a TV series. The series didn't do so hot. But you know what? They, to their credit, they were like, okay, a little bit of a misfire. Also, the fact that and while we're on the subject, the fact that the TV and the TV and film divisions ended up kind of becoming separate.
Right.
Even with that,
there's still a connection.
There's
still a line. Well, it still makes sense, and they don't shoot themselves.
Oh yeah, no. And then the other thing is that even with once they started working with Disney Plus. And bringing this stuff out. I mean, again, look at they've started. Now that I know that they couldn't do a lot with the Netflix stuff because they were, there was like a contract that had to be followed.
Right.
So it's
but they still did a good job.
Oh, yeah.
All of those series that was on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Well, okay, maybe one, not so much, but
Iron Fist.
they still did that one. And it was still good. It was still true. It was a great way. And I am in awe from a business perspective, from a fangirl perspective, and just from somebody who, as you guys know, loves her movies. I'm very impressed with the way that they're handling this, and they could continue on into the future. Even eventually Kevin's going to retire, and they move on. That if they keep this philosophy, fans first, quality high, usually, then what you end up with is something that could go on forever-ish.
Yeah, no, and it's also the fact that, you know, even when they couldn't use the Netflix stuff, like, you know, you couldn't have, you know, what did they do? As soon as they could start trickling stuff in, Daredevil showed up in, Matt Murdock showed up in Spider-Man No Way Home. The Kingpin showed up at the end of Hawkeye. And we now have an announcement that Daredevil is coming back. He's getting a new series. So, you know, it was just, hey, let's work with what we got. Let's bide our time.
Right.
Let's bide our time till we can, you know, pull the trigger and have all this stuff that people want. You know, they used things effectively. You know, they were able to be like, okay, let's work with what we got. And if we need to, we will dole this out in little tiny bits.
Right.
You know, we'll dole this out in little sections, little tidbits until we can get to the point where it's like, oh, okay, here, you guys want, you know, here's Jessica Jones back, here's Punisher back, you know, here's, you know,
and I can see some of that coming back into the into the future.
Yeah, and I mean,
nicely.
hey, they were even able, I mean, even if they couldn't really touch the TV stuff, they had Agent Carter. You know, Agent Carter was running around. You know, she played a big, you know, she played a big part in the MCU still. You know, I mean, I think the only thing we're missing right now is for characters from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to show up.
Yes.
Which, I mean, I'm hearing back and forth.
I'm hearing rumors.
Yeah, I'm hearing rumors as well. You know, I mean, it may not be in the way that, you know, we want or we're hoping for, but supposedly they will, you know, there is a way to have, you know, they might show up, you know, depending. I mean, I think maybe the timey-wimey shenanigans from the latter days of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. may play a part in things, but you know,
we can still have some fun with this.
Oh yeah. Well, and
that's
also,
what I'm really enjoying.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the other thing. As far as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is concerned, and as far as what we have in the MCU, there's one word I will give you that can solve the issue, and we can still have the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, you know, we don't have to like have a continuity headache. And it's just one word that has been at the heart of a few projects as of late.
Oh.
Multiverse.
Why, yes.
Multiverse. Like the absolute
that's how we got some of those really great and wild storylines in the comic books.
Yeah, like worst case, absolute worst case. If for whatever reason, you know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been shifted to an alternate reality, all right, fine. Yeah. Multiverse it. You know, talk to Chloe Bennett or Ming-Na Wen. And, you know, if Secret War has to do with, you know, multiple realities intersecting, talk to one of them and go, hey girl.
Let's throw in this.
You know, well, talk to them and be like, hey, are you busy next weekend? You know, are you busy like next month? You want to come to the studios and, you know, film some scenes for this Marvel movie? You know, Doctor Strange is going to visit your dimension. It's like, there, boom, we're done. Got it. We're good.
It does allow us to have a lot of fun with this one.
Oh yeah.
And
just think about this. I wonder if the pizza ball guy is going to make a comeback. Yeah.
Bruce Campbell can come back anytime.
Well, because he's Bruce freaking Campbell, man. Of course he can come
Darn
back.
tootin'.
Yeah, darn tootin'. Yeah. You know, and I mean, think about all the stuff that you can pop in. I mean, hey, you know what? Here's something I dare somebody to do to bring in. If we're gonna have multiverse, if we're gonna have the multiverse, if we're gonna like be using that as a tool, 2 words: Squadron Supreme.
Interesting.
Bring in the Squadron Supreme.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And hey, you can even, and you know, or you know what? They kind of did it with having Patrick Stewart come back as Charles Xavier.
Right.
You know, the multiverse also opens the door. We, you know, see if Jessica Alba's busy, if she wants to come back as Invisible Woman, as an alternate Fantastic Four. You know, see about, you know, heck, they brought back Toby, they brought back Andrew for Spider-Man No Way Home.
True. And that was a beautiful surprise.
Oh yeah, no.
That worked out very well.
And here's the thing. Like, apparently he was supposed to come back and didn't come back. Bring Nicholas Hammond. Let's have Old Man Peter. So bring in the live action Spider-Man from back in the day. You know, bring him in. Bring in, you know what? If you feel like having a laugh, bring David Hasselhoff. Let's have the Hasselhoff Nick Fury, you know, just you know, God, maybe have or have the or here we go.
Only if he gets blown up at the end, okay? You know.
You know what? Or I got another one for you. If we want to have like, you know, if we want to have like a laugh, bring in the Thor from that Hulk TV movie.
Oh.
Bring him in, have him interact with Hemsworth.
Interesting. Okay, we could have a little too much fun with this, but what the heck? Let's have some fun with this. It's I think it's what works with the MCU is that it sounds outrageous and then we see it and then we love it, or at least like it. And sometimes we go, okay, that one didn't work so well. But why not?
Well, and not to mention the fact that, like, you know, how many, I mean, honestly, it's not just the MCU, but this is my thoughts for comics in general. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Enjoy yourself. Like, why, you know, why go, you know, why have like this huge, you know, you don't have to angst it up. You don't have to be like, well, but how do we do this realistically? Go nuts. Go freaking nuts. Like, you know what? I think we do have to start wrapping things up. Unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
We could be here
We've
all day.
been chatting too long.
Yeah, we've been chatting a little too long, but I'm going to leave you with a little something. Imagine for a moment, just imagine. See, I always thought this would be a great way to bring our friend Wade Wilson into things. You know, when they pull the trigger on Deadpool 3, this is what you have. Here's going to be the teaser. Okay. You have that kind of in-between dimension from Multiverse of Madness. All right. You show that part, right? The portal opens and all of a sudden luggage starts getting dropped through it. Then Wade jumps down. He looks at the audience. You know, he looks at the audience and he goes, you know, there's another portal opening. He's throwing luggage through it. And he goes, oh, hi. Hey, guess what? I'm actually going to be moving. Yeah, I'm no longer with dun 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 dun. Nope, I'm part of, you know, he puts on a set of Disney ears. I'm part of the Mouse House group now. And he's like, I can't wait to hang out with the other heroes. I bet Iron Man and I will have such a good time. And then he like pauses and he goes, wait, he's dead? Okay, all right. Well, forget RDJ. I mean, I'm sure Cap and I could like really swing with that shield, you know, from Human Torch to Captain America. Oh, wait, he's retired now. Okay, well, you know what? I'm sure ScarJo and I will bet.
she's dead too. What's left? Oh, a Spider-Man. Okay, I suppose.
Hey, as long as they're having fun with it, I will be there to watch it.
Oh yeah. And of course, you got to toss something in where, like, he goes, where Deadpool does something like, he says, well, and I hope they really don't mind that I like that, I tend to use a few words, not friendly words, like, and then he tries to, like, he tries to do a swear word, but then, like, something in the dimension grounds him out, and he goes, wait, what? Wait, are they going to be doing this?
What I said?
It's like, I didn't know. Well, he'll just be like, wait, what? So you're going to try and drown me out whenever I say, he says another swear word, and maybe like a demon passes behind him. He's like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to try and enjoy myself, but this is ridiculous. And then, like, he just, like, that's it. And it's just like Deadpool 3, But come on, man.
Gosh.
You got to do something, which, by the way, one thing that I love, my final thought, another thing that I love, and this is why I'm looking forward to this, the preview that they dropped for She-Hulk.
Yes.
She'll be breaking the fourth wall.
Of course she will.
I'm like, yes, they have the fourth wall breaks. What's your final thought, Vicky, on everything?
I
said the word thought. You get one thing.
Okay, you know what my final thought is that I to go back to our original conversation, love the movie. And
yes.
I can't wait to see what happens next. And I hope that I say that every time I watch something from Marvel, because I feel like I really have been doing that a lot lately. Just keep it going, keep making me and millions of other people happy.
Yes,
I'll be there in line at the movie theaters.
Yep, there you go. Zion, top that. No, I'm just kidding. Your final thought.
Phase 6 is obviously the end of this MCU's continuity, so enjoy it while it lasts, because the writing is on the wall. If you read comics, this is we're getting dangerously close to reset events. So I see it coming, because all the Avengers are practically dead. And so we need to move on and keep this alive. And usually that way is through resetting the button.
Okay. You know what? We'll see. Although, of course, I will say this. Marvel's not like DC. They don't just, we're not going to have a new 52 of the MCU. But you know what? Who knows? Who knows? And on that note, this is Eduardo M, joined by Vicky Jakubowski and Zion Quiros. Thank you for hanging out with us, and join us next time. I mean, how we're going to top talking about Thor and freaking San Diego Comic-Con, I don't know, but you know what? We're certainly going to try. So hope you enjoyed this. That was kind of fun. I like talking about my friend Thor and about San Diego. Lots of fun. So we'll see you next time. Yeah, still need to work on my cord.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to Mark Who 42's Universe with hosts Mark Baumgarten, Eduardo M. Freyre, Zion Quiros, and Vicky Jakubowski. This program was produced and directed by Mark Baumgarten. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please go to our Facebook page or email us at markwho42s.universe@gmail.com. You can listen to old shows at our website, markwho42.com, or even our YouTube page, markwho42.
Mark Who 42's Universe, copyright 2022.